One thing I noticed is when you take on the vegans, they're ridiculous. And the reason why I call them ridiculous, not because I disagree with them, not because I eat steak, because the way they present themselves. There's no argument. An argument is an exchange of ideas. They're preaching based off of limited information. That's the biggest thing I've noticed about woke. There's never been an argument that I've seen you have, or myself, to where I'm debating somebody who's having a woke thing, where they say something where I'll be like, man, I haven't really thought of it that way.
Go ahead and share the script you'd like rewritten. Once I have it, I'll apply your full set of rewrite instructions and make sure the result feels naturally fresh and entertaining.
I thought it through.
Okay.
Whether it's the vegan debate, whether it's the transgender athletes debate, whatever it may be, they never really think these things through. You have to think about it logically. I don't think about it because I have a problem with trans people. Quite the opposite. I support trans rights to fairness and equality, not to the point where it negates women's rights to fairness and equality. Again, logical thinking. Women have fought for 100 years to get the rights that are currently being attacked and damaged by the trans lobby trying to get to the same.
With Tyrus exposing the chaos behind woke journalism, you're about to witness the news like never before, and not in a good way. The headlines are breaking a sweat, tweets are trembling, and someone's about to get roasted so hard, you'll be left stunned. Reality's coming in faster and stronger than your morning coffee. So get ready. It's wild, it's messy, and it's hilariously outrageous.
Fake outrage. I want names and a picture and a video.
Yeah.
Like when you've got to, it has to be a minute long. You have to carry this for at least a minute. Yeah. Because the same thing always happens. A producer in the back saw their chance. The woke one wanted to push their ideals. So you know what you did? You just canceled your show. I don't know how many years it's been running.
If you're enjoying this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You'll be amazed at how much support it brings. They thought they could keep it under wraps. And for a while, they actually did. With outrage fine-tuned to perfection and a lens immune to irony, woke reporting managed to sneak its way into every opinion piece, tweet, and headline pretending to be news. But Tyrus wasn't buying any of it. Sharp, fearless, and allergic to nonsense, he stood his ground like someone ready to stare down a raging bull.
It's done, it's broke, because there's no woke audience. And then they'll be like, what happened? What happened? Then they'll know outrage. Yeah. Then they'll know feelings because they've just ruined the show. If a white guy wears, no Mexican called in, just like if they had hats backwards and gold chains for Southern Food Week,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And lo and behold, they were making watermelon soufflés and fried chicken. I'm sure they'll be like, somebody's outraged. Look at Joe, he's furious. No mariachi.
Absolutely not. Not today. Tyrus dropped a truth bomb so explosive it made even the fact checkers question their own notes, while somewhere in a newsroom, a panicked producer clutched their stack of papers. It all began innocently enough, just a clarification on a small offhand comment that somehow spiraled into a full-blown national identity crisis.
Ridiculous. This is not a news story. This is what happens when America's doing great. They want to talk about stuff that doesn't matter. Listen, this is not news. This is the truth, what we're seeing now. Social media does not have the impact that they thought it did. Woke never had the impact. The term woke, you go broke, has been around for a minute. Regular Americans, regular people who work for the living, who play outside, who play in that green crunchy stuff we call grass, when they see a good, cool commercial, they go out and they buy.
Before long, it exploded into a full-blown internet meltdown, complete with dramatic posts, trending hashtags, and enough moral outrage to make everyone feel personally offended. Tyrus, on the other hand, just looked at the chaos like someone wondering why they should care about a salad's political stance.
No, because we'll never see it, Greg. I think the movie, the reason why the movie's so expensive because they had to make it over 3 times. They had to redo it because at first they had the Rainbow Coalition instead of dwarfs, and of the LGBT, it was representative. They were a band of thieves.
Yes.
Is what they originally were, and they were all, and then they CGI'd them.
Yeah.
To cover up when they got in trouble for that. But apparently she was so horrible on set and so toxic that her and the other lady who was playing the
At some point, everyone realizes the media isn't really reporting anymore. It's performing. Tyrus just had the nerve to say it out loud with all the subtlety of a wrecking ball in a crystal shop. Those once untouchable headlines suddenly started trembling, scrolling nervously like kids caught sneaking candy. He didn't just speak, he exposed, he sliced, he roasted. You know the type of stories he went after? The ones that turn a harmless social moment into a marathon of moral preaching. One article warned that a tiny fashion choice signaled the downfall of civilization. Another treated a 5-year-old lunch joke as a historic catastrophe. And there was Tyrus standing in the middle of it all, calm, but visibly done, like someone trapped in a room with 30 parrots all screaming nonsense. His approach wasn't just criticism, it was art. Every observation dripped with sharp sarcasm. Every revelation cut with disbelief so sharp it could shear steel. Watching him dismantle it all felt like seeing someone patiently untangle a toddler's spaghetti mess while explaining ever so politely that the noodles didn't deserve an essay.
Listen, I'm wearing DXL jeans right now. If I jumped up out of this chair and was like, look, I got good jeans, other big guys might buy jeans. So this is what it comes down to. Find something else to complain about. America does not have time for this. This is why the stock's up. Good for her. Proud to see brightest in America is doing the right thing, being in good shape, being talented, getting praise, getting the money.
At first, there was confusion. Every social media account seemed to tilt its head in unison. Timelines froze mid-scroll. Even the usually chaotic comment sections, those wild jungles where opinions collide like animals in a stampede, went eerily still. Then came the fear. This wasn't just another takedown, it was a lesson. With the precision of a surgeon, Tyrus sliced through the glossy layers of so-called woke reporting. The real goal, he pointed out, was outrage inflation, turning every small irritation into a grand crisis. He spotted the pattern instantly, obvious yet somehow hidden in plain sight. Minor annoyances became emblems of society's collapse. The wrong coffee order, a misused pronoun, a canceled TV show, each was recast as proof of moral decay or systemic evil, and while others panicked, Tyrus observed it all with razor-sharp humor, exposing how absurd it was to treat simple mistakes like catastrophes. Then came the circus of selective outrage. Some people got dragged through the headlines, while others doing the exact same thing were praised. Villains in one story, heroes in another, it all depended on the narrative of the day. The logic twisted and flipped so much it was hilarious to watch. For anyone who enjoys seeing adults tie themselves into knots rather than admit contradictions, this was peak entertainment. Tyrus stood above it all like a referee trying to discipline an invisible bird. And the language, the verbal gymnastics. Reading those articles felt like needing a PhD in translation. Words were stretched, weaponized, and stripped of nuance until meaning disappeared completely, like mist fading at sunrise.
Which is kind of when you have someone who is supporting Israel and what has happened and happens to be Jewish, and for you to go out and say the things that you say. So she single-handedly did something that no one else could do. She brought Disney to its knees. And for the first time, they're going to stop doing woke, and they're going to realize, hey, next time we do Snow White, maybe it should be a Snow White.
Yeah.
Grinning through it all, I'm honestly amazed we made it this far, staring at each other, lost in a maze of laughter and disbelief. Every time a reporter tried to twist a familiar phrase to fit their narrative, you had to either laugh or cry. There was no middle ground. Then Tyrus hit on the sacred ritual of virtue signaling, and that's when the real chaos began. Suddenly, it wasn't enough to simply say you liked something. No, there were rules now. You had to phrase it just right, add the proper pronouns, sprinkle in the approved hashtags, and issue a heartfelt disclaimer to avoid angering the woke tribunal. Tyrus tore into this whole performance with blistering wit, narrating every melodramatic turn like it was a low-budget soap opera. His commentary didn't just mock, it exposed. He laid bare the theater behind the outrage. And the reactions? Immediate. Social media pages lit up with furious replies, each trying desperately to stay relevant. But they couldn't compete. Tyrus had set the bar too high. Soon memes flooded in. Dramatic face palms, singers tripping on stage, and endless clips of startled cats from every decade. The internet collectively paused, then burst out laughing because deep down, everyone knew how ridiculous it all was. But this was more than humor. The brilliance was in the truth. Tyrus wasn't just mocking people, he was mapping patterns, unveiling the deceit, and showing the mental gymnastics required to keep the illusion of neutrality alive in a culture obsessed with controlling the story. What we called facts often turned out to be pliable clay, molded carefully to provoke just the right kind of outrage.
For yourself, and then I think you'll agree why.
Joe Biden is still fit to serve. I mean, the guy I watched last night doing this national address, I'm sorry, I felt it was really sad. It was elder abuse.
We're arguing about the wrong thing. Whether he's fit to serve or not fit to serve, history was made in the sense that the donors basically said no more money.
Right.
And they don't do that because they think, the polling shows you're down this month.
Next came the discrepancies, and no one was ready for it. Look closely, and woke reporting is riddled with contradictions, even as it preaches moral superiority. Tyrus pointed out the absurdity of praising diversity while shutting out dissenting voices. He exposed the system's unfairness, Some were spared, others punished for the smallest slip. Each revelation was like opening a clown car backward, more chaos spilling out with every turn. The absurdity was impossible to ignore. Tyrus didn't stop there. He dissected the moral theatrics of the performative crowd. Every outrage followed the same predictable arc. Problem spotted, indignation amplified, guilt enforced, social media erupted. He documented it all with surgical precision, noting how automatic it had become, yet no one had the courage or sense to admit it. Watching him unravel it felt like observing someone choreograph a fireworks display while the explosions went off around you. You couldn't look away, but you also couldn't fully process the ridiculousness. Then he went meta. Just when you thought it couldn't get stranger, he traced how woke reporting had become its own self-referential story. Outrage over outrage, critique of the critique, layers upon layers of looping madness. Tyrus was the flaw that exposed the system, revealing the media's creation of a never-ending cycle. Even the most devoted keyboard warriors were flailing by this point, tweets defending indefensible claims, frantic opinion pieces scrambling to explain inconsistencies, all trying desperately to maintain credibility.
Insurrectionist Barbie, get on that! By the way, Dana, white people, they can't be oppressed. Are you not aware that every single white person is a millionaire? Including in the Blue Ridge Mountains, wherever you go. So the real headline for this, which I wrote, is country star no one heard of gets publicity the easy way by trashing fans and going woke. However, whatever momentary rush of infamy she gets will fade away because no one can trust her, but I like to help.
Tyrus moved through it all with the effortless confidence of a warrior stepping into a room full of giant sushi rolls. Each observation landed harder than the last, and the audience squirmed, laughed, and gasped in equal measure. Amid the chaos, a realization emerged. Not every woke story was terrible. It was theater. The scripts were ridiculous, yes, but sometimes the actors were genuine. Tyrus wasn't just calling out nonsense. He was holding up a massive mirror, one impossible to ignore. The brilliance was in the inevitability. No one could look away. He exposed the irony of a civilization claiming enlightenment while thriving on uncertainty, obsessed with performance, drama, and narrative over facts. Every word reminded viewers that nonsense can be both entertaining and dangerous when cloaked in moral superiority. By the end, the social media landscape had shifted. Tyrus's incredulous expressions went viral, while accounts that once thrived on anger were forced to pivot, searching for new angles. People paused, caught between laughter and the stark reality of it all. Yes, the spectacle had dominated conversation. Yes, it had finally come to light. And yes, the mastermind was Tyrus. Just when everyone thought he was done, he pivoted again. Now he was examining the algorithms behind the chaos, the unseen puppet string shaping public outrage. Social media wasn't neutral, far from it. It had biases, favorites, and a talent for inflating minor slip-ups into global disasters.
But this study listed a few core beliefs, which I'll summarize here. If whites have a higher income than blacks, it's always due to racism. But then again, what is it? And you better not blame our city's public schools or you'll be forced to wrestle this. School reading lists must have fewer white people on them. True, who wants to read Lord of the Rings when you can read Not He?
Tyrus pointed it out with the quiet force of a brick smashing through a stained glass window. The platform's habit of spotlighting some stories while burying others was both amusing and unsettling, especially when some of the overlooked posts were genuinely important, yet apparently lacked enough emojis to go viral. The reaction was instantaneous. Influencers scrambled to protect their reputations. Some issued dramatic apologies that felt suspiciously scripted by the same PR teams that trained celebrities to cry on cue, while others hastily deleted tweets and redirected conversations. Meanwhile, Tyrus moved through it all like a general surveying a battlefield everyone else had forgotten existed. Each hashtag, each critique of past decisions stacked up like a pyramid of dominoes. Inevitably, someone toppled into their own trap. He didn't stop at the media. The audience, meme lords, keyboard warriors, and comment section generals alike were also under scrutiny. Tyrus highlighted the selective fury of so many self-proclaimed moral crusaders who condemned some missteps while ignoring others. As contradictions piled up faster than unread notifications, the humor became impossible to resist. Tyrus dissected the absurdity of corporations claiming moral superiority while quietly bending reality, methodically analyzing every sponsored post and thoughtful tweet. No whiteboard required. The illustrations of performative ethics were vivid, ridiculous, and painfully recognizable. By this point, the public was emotionally exhausted. Outrage fatigue had peaked, stories had grown stale, Debates felt like reruns of reruns, and the spectacle had dulled. Tyrus did more than point it out. He amplified it with razor-sharp mockery, making it almost audible. It was as if he were tossing life jackets into a shrinking pool of manufactured horror, exposing the hollowness of outrage culture. It was true, and everyone laughed. And that combination of absurdity and truth, it hit like a cannonball. Tyrus was no longer merely critiquing woke reporting. He had transformed into a mirror, a dazzling, chaotic funhouse reflection that revealed every contradiction, every exaggerated gesture, every ridiculous ascent of social media spectacle. Influencers froze, journalists blinked, and everyday scrollers couldn't look away. There was no bypassing it. The spectacle demanded attention. The exaggerated drama, the hashtags multiplying by the minute, and the performative outrage had to give way to the raw truth and the inevitable chaos that followed. Memes seized the moment. Over-the-top facepalms, singers stumbling on stage, startled cats from every era, all became symbols of the absurdity Tyrus exposed. And the irony? He wasn't the only subject of the jokes. Social media gleefully turned its lens on itself, highlighting the inconsistencies, the selective indignation, and the recycled moral panic that had long dominated timelines. This self-aware humor became, unintentionally, one of the century's greatest punchlines. Through it all, Tyrus moved with the same calm precision he had shown from the start. He sliced through the performative narratives with surgical sarcasm, dissecting outrage inflation, moral theater, and the algorithms that manipulated attention. He reminded everyone of the ridiculousness of minor incidents being elevated to societal crises: a misused pronoun, a coffee order gone wrong, a canceled show transformed into catastrophe. And yet, amid the chaos, he revealed the underlying patterns, the predictable arcs, the selective fury, the staged apologies, and the endlessly looping contradictions that drove keyboard warriors to madness. Halfway between viral fury, dramatic moralism, and exaggerated headlines, Tyrus kept grinning. Every comment, every joke, every brilliant takedown served as a reminder that exposing absurdity required patience, precision, and a sharp eye. And slowly, the audience realized the laughter, the chaos, and the memes weren't distractions. They were lessons, delivered one extraordinary moment at a time.